Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode brought to you by Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every single game with promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Thursday show. The Brewers finish up their series against the St. Louis Cardinals. We got some news on Brandon Woodruff, and also we got to talk about the left side of the infield and this prospect that is raising some eyebrows across the Brewers minor league system that you may not have heard of before. We'll get into that later on here, but first we got to start with this series against St. Louis. Obviously, you had the rain out on Game 2. So then the matinee on Wednesday to finish up a ultimately two-game series against the Cardinals, and the Brewers get the win. The bats come alive early. They get 4 runs in the first inning, 3 of them courtesy of Andrew Vaughn with a big home run, his first of the season. You absolutely love to see that. It is such a great sign for him coming off that hamate injury to have that power return like that pretty quickly. Because a lot of times with hand injuries, with major league players, it takes a while for the power especially to come back. I believe we talked about that a little bit on shows earlier this week, and sure enough, that doesn't seem to be a problem. The hand strength is there for Andrew Vaughn, clearly. The overall strength is there to muscle one out of the ballpark, so they get to Andre Palante pretty early on there, and ultimately they're able to get the win over the Cardinals and split the series. So get back in the win column before heading back home here to American Family Field. So the bats were also able to provide some insurance later on there in that game as well. I mean, that 4-0 lead was kind of holding for a while. Brandon Sproat pitching pretty well, although not very efficiently. He struggled with a bit of a higher pitch count. The Brewers traded Freddie Peralta for Brandon Sproat, and Brandon Sproat taking on perhaps some of the qualities of Freddie Peralta, which, in general, a good thing, but Freddie did have his moments where his pitch count would rise very quickly, and he would struggle to make it through, 4 or 5 innings on a decent pitch count. He would have those moments. Brandon Sproat had one of those on Wednesday, so it's part of it. It's part of the learning curve. I mean, this kid has just 50 innings of major league experience under his belt at this point, so still a lot more left to go, but the stuff was really good. He was able to shut down that lineup there for the Cardinals, and really, so was DL Hall, Aaron Ashby, the rest of the group. Trevor McGill, gave up a couple of hits there and a run, but still, overall really good pitching performance. The offense did what it needed to do, and the Brewers were able to get out of there with a series split against St. Louis, and now they're getting ready. They're going to have the day off today and then start their series against the New York Yankees coming up on Friday. So lots to look forward to there. That should be a really fun series that we're going to be getting into here a little bit as well. But before we do, we also got to talk about some other news that came out here during Wednesday's game, or prior to Wednesday's game, just kind of learning about one of the big concerns here for this squad, and that is Brandon Woodruff. So Brandon Woodruff traveled to Dallas, Texas to meet up with his surgeon, Dr. Keith Meister, who is also going to be performing the Tommy John on Angel Serpa, by the way. But Woodruff met up with him to have a consult, just kind of see, okay, how's the shoulder checking out, and according to the team, Woodruff had a minor procedure, quote, to drain fluid in his shoulder, and that went well. So this didn't really kind of seem like a surgical kind of thing. Seemed certainly very minor, but the fluid was drained from his shoulder, and he is tentatively set to resume throwing on Saturday. So that's a very quick recovery. It's not like, your typical surgical kind of thing where you got to be down for a while. And Pat Murphy believes that Woodruff only is going to need a couple of bullpens before rejoining the rotation. He may not need to even go on a rehab assignment for all we know. It seems like it could be a pretty quick return here. So there was just kind of that inflammation in his shoulder, and then it's like, okay, you go for kind of a full checkup, the inflammation, a little bit of fluid in there. So it's like, let's get that fluid out of there. That may have been causing the problem as well. So get that taken care of, knocked out, rest up for a couple more days, and then try throwing and see how it feels. See if the ball's coming out fine. See if he continues to remain pain-free. Because, again, it was a very concerning moment when the velo dropped as much as it did, pretty much instantaneously. Like, he was not able to get it firing at all. So it kind of raises those concerns there. But structurally, medically, everything seems to be fine. A little bit of fluid, get it out of there. And hopefully that kind of improves, the mobility and improves the ability to throw back at the velocities that he had been at prior to. So let's just continue to hope and pray for good news there on the Brandon Woodruff front, because it seemed like this could be a very long-term injury when things drop like that as drastically as they did. So it is almost a miracle that Brandon Woodruff could be looking at throwing again on Saturday and throwing a couple of bullpens, and within a week or two maybe could be getting back into this big league rotation, which for the Logan Henderson fan club may not be the most fun news, because, for Logan Henderson, this is his opportunity to get himself into that rotation with Woodruff out. I would imagine he's going to remain in that rotation for as long as Woodruff is on the IL. Henderson is scheduled to start against the Yankees this coming weekend, but still, it's great news overall for the Brewers, because you do want to have Brandon Woodruff back. As much as you want to see a Logan Henderson in that rotation and seeing him get those opportunities, you do want to have Brandon Woodruff back out there. I understand, that a cautious approach may still be warranted here. They're going to try and, work him back pretty quickly, especially by being able to do that, by working him back pretty quickly, you can avoid the whole, long-term ramp up of having to do. It's like, okay, now let's stretch back out to 60 feet, 90 feet, 120 feet. Let's now do bullpens. Like, you don't have to do the whole full ramp up for him. If you have him completely shut down for too long, you might have to, but by being able to get him going pretty quickly again, you can avoid that whole lengthy re-ramp up for him. So that would be nice to see for him, for the team, for everybody, for all involved, really. It would be great to have him back out there, which, again, the Logan Henderson fan club might not think that's all the best, but really the health there for Woodruff, that is the most important part of all that. As much as we all might love to see that younger pitcher prospect get the opportunity, having Woodruff healthy is just such a boost to this club. A boost in terms of morale, a boost in terms of on-field performance. It is so important to have him back out there and pitching as much as you can have him out there every single day. And, he's a leader in this rotation. And, the leader in that rotation right now is Jacob Misiorowski. And Jacob Misiorowski is going to be getting the start here coming up on Friday. And taking on the New York Yankees there in Game 1. And that is where on Kalshi you can trade every single game, including this game coming up here between the Brewers and the New York Yankees. And it's going to be a matchup of some aces there. It is Jacob Misiorowski, and it's going to be Max Fried that's going to be starting for the Yankees, which is just an absolutely electric matchup here. And on Kalshi you can trade every single game. And I'm looking at this game the way I'm looking at it right now, as I have it. The Brewers are at a 45% chance to win this game. They're trading at 45% to beat the Yankees on Friday night. When the Brewers have their ace on the mound, when you got Jacob Misiorowski out there, you think the Brewers only have 45%? Tell you what, this is probably a lot of those big money New Yorker guys, the big market, big money guys. Throw money on the Yankees. Yankees, big market. We got 27 rings. 27. We'll take down those puny Brewers. Tiny market. They got nothing on the New York Yankees. That was, I don't know if that was a New York accent or what. It was terrible, I'm sure. Just like their Midwestern accent, Wisconsin accent probably would be terrible. But, okay, so maybe I'm not the best at doing the New York accent. But still, that means, with 45% chance, that means a $100 trade could pay out $212. if the Brewers are able to win, which I think the Brewers are going to be able to win. You got Miz on the bump. You got you got Jackson Chourio. You got Andrew Vaughn back in the lineup. Vaughn homer. Chourio's been on fire since coming back. This offense has gotten a massive boost with these two guys. So I think that should lead to it. And you got all these Yankees fans, just throwing in on Kelce here, and they're thinking, hey, this is going to be easy on the Brewers. Take that from them. Be like, nuh-uh. Got to recognize who the Milwaukee Brewers are. So don't let those, big ego, big market New York Yankees fans get the win there, okay? They've got a little of an overinflated ego over there, and that means that the odds are a little bit down on the Brewers, which you can take advantage of. You can do that on Kalshi. So download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. All right. What the Brewers also might need to be trading on is the left side of their infield because it has been a problem for this group. And that's not necessarily anything new. We've kind of known that with this Brewers left side of the infield with David Hamilton, Joey Ortiz, Luis Rengifo. All three have been struggling. Offensively, we also saw a couple issues defensively, in this game against the Cardinals on Wednesday. Joey Ortiz had an error late in the game. In the first inning, David Hamilton, over there at third base, misplayed a ground ball, and it ends up getting scored as a double. I think it was an error. I get that it was a high chopper, but, it was kind of right to him, and that should have been an easy throw and get him out of first base. If you catch that ball, throw it, he's out at first base. So that should have been an error, in my opinion. Instead, it goes by him for a double. And until the eighth inning, that was the only hit of the game for the Cardinals. We could have been looking at a no-hitter that whole game if that had been ruled an error, which I think it should have been. Pat Murphy thought it should have been ruled an error. But still, a bad play over there at third base cost the Brewers in that sense. Again, Trevor McGill ended up giving up a clean single, and the no-hitter ended up coming to an end anyways. Even if that wasn't the case. But who knows? Maybe McGill would have pitched differently in that situation if there was a zero in that part of the category. But you got those defensive miscues there. The offense really hasn't been anything. We are sitting here on May 7th, and Joey Ortiz does not have an extra base hit this season. It took Jackson Chourio one at-bat to get an extra base hit. It's taken him 2 games to get like 4 extra base hits. He just continues to just be absolutely insane. Chourio and Vaughn, in their 2 games since coming back, have combined for 8 hits. Greg Jones and Blake Perkins, who were sent down to make room for these guys 2 games ago, they were combined for 7 hits total on the season. On the season, those 2 combined for 7 hits. Chourio and Vaughn got 8 in 2 days. Insane. But that's not the left side of the infield. Left side of the infield's a whole nother problem. With Joey Ortiz not having an extra base hit. With David Hamilton, I think he only has 1 extra base hit. Rengifo's gotten a couple more. He's been able to get some doubles in there, but still, it has just been a struggle for those guys offensively on the left side. And then you're seeing some defensive miscues as well, and that is something the Brewers certainly cannot tolerate. They can tolerate, to an extent, poor offense from some positions when you're getting really good, exceptional defense. That's how Joey Ortiz has kept his job for so long, because he's such a great defender at shortstop. But when the defense starts to suffer a little bit as well, that's when you start seeing potentially some changes get made. And that's where maybe we could see a Cooper Pratt call-up at some point in the near future. Now, again, he has to continue to play well and look good down there in AAA Nashville to look like he is ready for a big league opportunity. Defensively, he is ready, yes. But offensively, he needs to be ready. He needs to have that confidence in his at-bats. He needs to have the success in his at-bats and look comfortable up there in the box that he is ready to face big league pitching. Is he at that point yet? Again, we're seeing the results, but in terms of just kind of viewing that comfortability, that's really up to the discretion of the Brewers and their coaches. and how they view it, what exactly they are looking for. Part of that is ball strike recognition, as Pat Murphy's kind of talked about with us a little bit. How do you know when a guy's comfortable up there? It's that ball strike recognition, laying off pitches that aren't strikes. Excuse me. And swinging at pitches that are pitches that you can do damage on. So that's something to keep an eye on here, because they have signed him to that extension, and you've gotten to the point now, just about, where you can start to make those judgments on how a player is performing. I mean, we're over a month into the season. We are getting close. I mean, usually the benchmark is about 100 at-bats for guys to really kind of tell where they are in the season. You got 85 at-bats for David Hamilton, 103 plate appearances, so he's come up to the plate 100 times. So that, I mean, you've kind of got a pretty good idea of where Hamilton's at. I mean, Hamilton's hitting 235, 596 OPS. Excuse me again. Like I said yesterday, I'm battling through this illness. Garrett Mitchell was scratched from Wednesday's lineup with an illness. Probably the same kind of thing that I've been going through. Don't worry, though. I did not give it to him, okay? I didn't get sick until the Brewers were already on the road. So that's not what it is. So don't go yelling at me in the comments that I got him sick and out of the game. But Joey Ortiz, he's at 83 plate appearances on the season. He's lost a decent amount of playing time to David Hamilton, by the way. That's something that's also been notable, I think. But Ortiz hitting 181 with a 440 OPS, an OPS plus of 26. That's not good. So I think you do have some concerns there, and you've gotten enough of a sample size to, I think, start making some judgments. Luis Rengifo over 100 at-bats on the season, hitting 188, 46 OPS plus, an OPS of 520. You are not getting enough production from that left side of the infield, and you're getting enough at-bat. You're at the point now where you have enough at-bats to know what exactly they're doing. If you're this far into the season and you haven't been able to get going yet, it's not really just a slow start. You're just not hitting well. And these guys don't exactly have the greatest track record. Excuse me. Rengifo has a bit of a better track record historically in his career, in terms of hitting. But with Joey Ortiz, with David Hamilton, it's not necessarily that kind of track record. So you may be getting to the point soon here where as soon as Pratt proves that he's ready, you have seen enough from the guys on the left side to make a change. All right, and another guy who may be forcing his way into a conversation here, Darrien Miller, a bit of a surprise prospect, not one that many have thought about, not one that has ranked highly a ton of places, but Darrien Miller is off to an incredible start in AA Biloxi. He is a catcher, and him and Matthew Wood have kind of been the tandem down there in Biloxi. But Darrien Miller in 18 games is hitting 340 with a 557 on base percentage, a 1217 OPS, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 9 RBIs, 17 walks, and just 18 strikeouts. So he's drawing a ton of walks, almost as many as strikeouts that he has on the season. He's showing power. He plays behind the dish. I mean, he's hitting for a very high average. He's just on an insane run. And he put up some really good numbers last year, too. So keep an eye on Darrien Miller. I know we talk about Jefferson Caro, we talk about Marco Dinges, but Darrien Miller is a name who's certainly shooting himself up on that prospect radar that fans, I think, should start to keep an eye on with his performance down there in Biloxi. I know the headlines in Biloxi are Jesus Made, Blake Burke, primarily, but still, Darrien Miller is putting up some really, really strong numbers for that group as well. So keep an eye on him. And of course, keep an eye every single time Brewers Daily drops a new episode every single day throughout the week. By subscribing, get notified every single time that next episode drops. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Appreciate all of you listening, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Brewers Daily.